Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this Introduction to Confluence webinar. For about the next hour, we'll be taking a look at the basics of the tool, and then also then how you can leverage its functionality with other Atlassian products, and really make it a useful tool within your organization. My name is Tony Hartsfield. I am a certified Atlassian professional and a business consultant at Expium, a Valiantus company, which is a platinum solutions partner for Atlassian. I don't want to brag, but we're the largest platinum solutions partner in the globe. So glad to have you with us. Today, we're going to spend about an hour talking about Confluence, and we'll be looking at what it is, how we can use it for editing purposes, and then how those functionalities can be used to help create custom reporting tools for your organization, whether it's a Jira project or other things as well, and then how it can be a really nice content portal for project reporting purposes and other things. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about some governance topics about how, once you see the tool itself, how you might want to figure out how you're going to use the tool in your organization. And we'll finish in the last few minutes with some time for Q&A. There is a Q&A module in this meeting, and as you have questions, feel free to enter them in there, and I'll take a look at those questions at the end of our time together. But I guess maybe the first question is, well, what is Confluence? Confluence is a wiki-style editing tool that's helps you be a documentation tool or an information sharing tool, and a great, powerful reporting mechanism for your organization. If you are using Jira Service Management, it is also the repository of your knowledge base articles that when your customers go to your help portal and start to create a request based upon the keywords in the request, your knowledge base articles can be surfaced there. Well, they are hosted in Confluence as well. Confluence is a highly customizable and flexible tool so that it can help you suit the needs of your organization. What that also means then is that because it can do things so many ways, governance is going to become an important part of that. And so we want to talk about, through its flexibility of the tool, how we can use it efficiently itself. The thought behind Confluence is that prior to having a tool like this, the question is, well, where is the information that your community needs? Is it in an email? Is it on an intranet page? Is it in some sort of file folder somewhere? Is it a person that they need to go talk to? And not having a centralized location for how to get access to those things. In Confluence, your people will come to the Confluence spaces, and then the information that they need could be linked to it, not necessarily housed in the actual instance itself, but it's a great centralized location for your people to go to and get the information they need to do the work that they have done. Now, the structure is that Confluence uses what are called spaces, and then the spaces have pages. If you're familiar with Jira software, it has a similar concept of projects, and inside the projects are your issues or your work elements. Same thing here. And so based upon that idea, spaces and pages, well, who should have a space in your instance? And that could be any number of things. We're going to highly recommend a governance space for the team managing how Confluence is going to be used, but then there's any number of uses that it could be used for in your organization. It could be a department, HR, accounting, library, recruiting, IT, or it could be even in the department itself. It could be groups of people in there. So it could be your security group, your DevOps team, your QA team, etc. So a Jira project, the team working on the project, or it could be a team of teams with multiple projects that they touch. And then there is the option of having a personal space itself where work that is currently in draft mode or not ready for publishing, or if you're going to encourage the use of blogging in your instance, well, that's where the personal space can be, and others can subscribe to your post using the personal space. So a lot of options here as far as how this gets used. as we start to now see after the conceptual portions of this, let's actually go and take a look at the editing capabilities of this. And so I'm just going to click onto an actual page itself. And in a moment, I will even open it in edit mode and peel back the curtains to show you how things are going to work. Because it's a wiki style editing tool, if I go into edit mode, you will see a toolbar with many common elements that people are used to in working in the word processing or working in wiki tools, uh, and that could be any number of flavors of wiki tools itself. And so you have a standard toolbar where you can create text um, with headings. You have the basics of italics, bold, color. It can have numbered items. This is a bulleted list. Here's another heading. Here is a numbered list, and all these appear across the top of your toolbar as you're in these sections as well. There is alignment tools, color tools, and then a couple of things that become relatively unique to a tool like Confluence. Then you're going to have an action item tool, which allows you to not only have items to do, but you can even mention someone that's in your organization, and they will be notified of the action item. You can set dates. And then the dates are, this one has not yet happened and this one is past due. So you can see the color coding of that. By the way, this is a cloud instance, and I'm in the premium level licensing. The cosmetics between a cloud and a data center instance um, are noticeable, but the same functionality to a large degree is there. There may be a couple things that I'll mention, like tables, that have some additional options that are only in the cloud version of it. As I keep moving over to the right, obviously, then we'll talk about linking and attachments, at symbol somebody, use of emojis. Atlassian likes to encourage the use of crowdsourcing and social aspects of this, and so they encourage the use of, say, emoji in context. But then things like layouts and tables. This is in edit mode. The default is a single column layout. I'm now looking at a layout that is in a right sidebar, but you can actually have two others there. So the right way is to not just have the information on the page, but to manage its location so that you could, like this, have text describing what they're interpreting on the right-hand side with the table. This is a table tool here. Easy to insert a table, easy to adjust, add additional rows or columns, delete, merge, add color, have header rows, column rows, have numbered rows beside that. In cloud, they've added an additional option that's based upon the simple data of your table. You can also generate a chart based upon this. So this is using the two columns here. Here is the numbers. Here it is as a pie chart. A couple of simple chart options and able to help you manage the data itself. Because the content is living in a shared location, uh, provided that your colleagues have edit rights to the page, you can do something called simultaneous editing. And I'm going to ask my Kylie, who's running the back end of this webinar. She's going to go into edit mode as well, and I see that she's joined me. And with that, we can now both edit a page at the same time. I see where her cursor is, and I can come in here and add another item. So a useful tool, I will tell you how I use it with my client teams, is that oftentimes we'll have more than one person editing the page during meeting notes. One person is presenting the idea or the topic, while the other person is taking notes, and then we can switch off. Or somebody's taking notes on the meeting and another person is taking notes or taking action items for the next meeting. And so we do that in the same page itself. And then when we publish this, we have the ability then to view the history of the page. We can run comparisons. you can have lots of things that are available to you as we simultaneously edit the page. Again, because it's in a shared location and because we both have rights to the page itself, we're able to edit it. So a nice bonus, I think, and that may be something that you find of benefit to you. Another feature that you can do on Confluence pages is to be able to comment. In commenting, and you can do this in both edit mode and in publish mode in cloud. In data center, you only can do this in publish mode, but you select text, you highlight your selection, and then you have the ability to place a comment on the page on itself. The comments are live, can be replied to, responded to, resolved, etc. Great way for managing the content of the page, for making suggested changes. Comments can also live at the bottom of the page itself. When I go back in publish mode of this, I will show you that as well. That you can have comments, and in the comments bar, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and publish this so I can show you commenting. So commenting in line with the document, with the page itself, or at the bottom of the page, where you have actually a lot of access to editing tools itself in the commenting too. So it gives you a lot of control over the look and feel of your comments, which again draws the eye to the information itself. So at the bottom of my page, so you can come here as well. You can add symbol somebody, add emoji, and have access to really a full the full editing toolbar that you had when you were in the edit mode of the page itself. And so as soon as I get in this edit, you can see the full toolbar is here as well. Great ways to make dynamic comments. And in the bottom portion, you actually have inline commenting where you have the conversations and threaded commenting from there. So I'm gonna go back to the top of my page. And I'm going to go back into edit mode as well, because you can see not only the outcome, but in cloud instance, you actually get a preview of most of your work while you're in edit mode itself, which is kind of a bonus feature in my opinion, so that you can not only be editing, but you can actually see how it's going to look once you publish the page. Linking. Especially in cloud, is a very strong feature in my opinion, because not only do you see the links, but you have control as to how the links are displayed. And here's a couple of examples here. When you paste a link, you're going to get the option to see the link as what's called inline, which is typically the default setting. As soon as it lets me do it. There we go. What's called inline. There's also something called a card, which is one here, same page, a card. Or if you have the option, you also have the ability to embed a page in there. So if I click on this one, I'll show you. You have the ability to not only use just the URL, the inline, which is up here, the card, or you can embed an entire page in this. So the content's going to live somewhere else, but you can display it here, which is one of the great rules of governance is creating content in one place, and if you need to, you surface it in multiple places. That way, maintenance is only one place. This is a website, an external website, our XPM site, and so you'll see there's just the URL. Here's also the card. I love the fact that it gets the little ICO file and places it in there, plus a little sample of what you see on the title bar itself. Or again, you can just simply select the text to display with your URLs if you wanted to do that. And then lastly, like the ability to embed a page from Confluence, this is an embedding a document that is, in this case, it's in a shared Google folder that Kylie and I both have access to. And if we have edit rights, this is actually more than just the ability to view it. We can edit. Think about the context of that as this is really a great tool for thinking about, you don't have to have a copy of the file attached to your space itself. You could instead put a link to the location, and like simultaneous editing of a Confluence page, if the document is in a shared location and your people have the same rights to edit the document, then we can edit here live on the page itself. A great tool for that. Also, Confluence handles media very well. And so if it happens to be a media file like a YouTube video or an audio file, etc., it automatically knows how to embed that so that people can view the video from without having to leave the page. Think about that. It could be a YouTube channel that you have. What if you have a learning management system where you have training videos on the learning management system? Well, you could put links to your videos there and you can surface them on your Confluence page. If you happen to have a Microsoft Stream server where you're handling your content, again, similar setup. You simply paste the link to it, and anyone who has access to it on that in that other location can view it here. Um, so great tools. I just love how, especially Confluence Cloud, handles linking and places it in there. Attachments. Well, you can also attach images or files. Um, and in cloud, you have the option of not only inserting the image, but also giving it a word wrap option of either left or right in the paragraph. Um, you would also want to potentially caption or add an alt text, so that for those that use screen readers to read read the content on the page to them for visually those with visual issues, that way you can have that as well. And in America, that's the ADA compliance that you can have. Um, or you can also surface macros. So this is actually a PDF macro itself, which allows me to view a thumbnail first, but then I can actually scroll through, if this is a multi-page PDF, almost like I'm looking at a slide deck of some sort when I'm in publish mode. This is an attachments macro. Um, Attachments don't have to be surfaced on the page itself. What you can do is you can add attachments to the page without it being on top, and then surface it using something called a macro. In this case, the attachments macro. There's also a image gallery macro for things like meet the team, or these are key documents that you're going to need as you're continuing to work on your QA processes, or whatever it happens to be, decision trees, org charts. This would be where you could attach them to your page if you need to, and then surface them using an attachments macro or the image gallery. Of course, remember, we might recommend as a governance that instead of attaching, you might put links to it. And because Confluence manages links so well, this could be a whole new thought of direction as to how you might be able to do those things. Okay. Um, so I've mentioned the attachment macro and the gallery. Let's talk about what macros are. Macro can sometimes be a scary word for some because I think it involves programming. Uh, Confluence uses the word macro as uh, letting Confluence do some work for you. In other words, a ways to manage the formatting of content, or the display, or for navigation purposes like a table of contents or a page tree, etc. So that's what Confluence means by macros. And so there's some really interesting ones that are in here. Some of the more common ones, very visual tools, are things like the panel macros. And what the panel macros allow you to do is um, um, have the built-in ones are success, information, warning, note, and error. But note here, you can also have your own emoji, or you can have no emoji at all. You also can create from a minimal color palette, but you can choose a few other colors in there. And what many people do with panel macros is, instead of necessarily using the little icons, is they might just simply use this for text background. So this is, again, a visual that you could have on a layout. Maybe your left panel is going to be in one color, and then the right sidebar is going to be in another color, and then your large center panel in the middle could be your just white, so that you can have visually uh, managed views on your text itself. So I love the panel macros, especially in cloud, and there are several great uses for it. There's a tool called status macro, which is really what you do is you type the text, choose a color, and we use these all the time for um, for our engagement pages that we have with our clients, and we'll just say, here we are, we're on track, or we are in progress, or we have deployed, or we're off. We can do that with all these different types of status macro buttons that you can manage from there. A great tool is called the expand macro, and in published mode, when I publish this again, we'll see it. What you have is a title, and then inside of that is going to be the contents of the title. It's a great way to manage vertical scroll space in your page itself, so that you can um, um, place several items. We do this a lot with policies. We do this with our statement of work in our with our client engagements, so that they can at any time want to see what the SOW is. We can put it into an expand macro. Table of contents, page trees, all great tools for helping you see and navigate throughout your spaces from there. Um, And then finally, what becomes a really powerful tool, as far as what separates this from, say, another wiki editing tool, is that it's tight integration with Jira itself. And this is where most people who are using Confluence are connecting it to a Jira project or a Jira software Jira uh, JSM, Jira Service Management. And so here's some great tools here. Uh, this is a link from an issue copied and pasted into the Confluence page. And because of Confluence's strong, smart linking properties, this is an embedded issue from there. And if I have edit rights to this, I can edit this issue from a Confluence page. This is a recent update from Atlassian Cloud Confluence, but it's really, really powerful. I think that's a great tool. Here is another one where this is the using the card to it. You have the card, you have the inline, you have the URL, and you have the update, the embedded itself. So several ways to do that as well. And then you can also, using a filter, save filter from Jira itself. You have a Jira pie chart. There's also two-dimensional charts. There's other charts. Your instance may also have other plugins that can use other types of displays of Jira information. And so this now becomes a great tool for not only talking about the project, but beginning to surface actual information from the project onto your Confluence pages. Here is essentially using the same macro, show the filter results of issues that match that search criteria that's on there. You can also create issues from there. If I go into publish mode again, in just a moment, is that you also, so this is surfacing information from Jira. You can also write to Jira, again, assuming you have the permissions to do so, by being able to simply select text. And when you're in publish mode, you have the ability to either comment, or as I hover over this, actually create an issue in a project in the same instance, in the Jira instance of this particular ecosphere. So great tools. This can also be done with multiple issues and tables. A lot of the stuff, by the way, I know I'm moving fast and I'm showing this in demo mode. This is actually a one-day hands-on boot camp class that we offer. I'll show you our calendar in just a little bit as we talk about this. And so there's just great things that we can do when we are working with Confluence and Jira itself. Here's that expand macro. Again, you can see now that it's in publish mode, just how you can help manage vertical scroll space on your pages. Here's the table of contents. Here's a page tree showing me what the pages are. This is even showing me the pages from another space in there. So it's not limited to the current space that's on there. Single issue again. So strong editing capabilities within your Confluence page, and interesting ways to make it look visually interesting and compelling for your users to be able to read and see and interact with the content as much as you need to. So what then happens then if we put all this together in some sort of context to display? I'm going to switch over to another space and show you one of the ways that we at Valiantus will share content with our clients when either we'll create the space for them or they already have the space in their instance. And so a lot of the contents that we were just talking about, this sort of puts it all together into a typical engagement page that we'll have that's on there using layouts, using macros, using tables, using Jira integration. Again, because this is a premium license, it has calendars and you can insert the calendar. This is a 2-column layout here. Here is the panel macro. Here is the attachments macro listing the macros. So the idea behind this one for this particular instance is this is perhaps a monthly meeting, and at the end of the meeting, they want to take a snapshot of the current status, but so that they can view it later. So what they did was they can look at the meeting, and then at the end of that time, export the page to a PDF, and then attach the PDF to the space itself or to the page. And so while I'm here looking at the other options you can do with a page, you can make a copy of it, you can move it to another space, convert it to a blog, archive or delete. I'll talk about presenter mode a little bit later, but it's an interesting way to display it. View the analytics of the page, how many clicks is it getting, who's clicking on it. Viewing the page history, how many times it's been published, so that you can check on the history of the page if you need to revert back to an earlier version or compare versions to see what the changes are. View the attachments of a page itself. So there's lots of nice features that you can do off of the actions menu from there. But as I scroll through this, again, this is utilizing most of the things that I've been demonstrating for you. This is just a table. There is the status button. But what you're doing now is not only showing the information, the JIRA list of issues from a filter, but now you can give it context, talk about it, tell them how to interpret it, tell them what they should be looking for when they look at a filters list. There is the ability to link to um, a, an advanced roadmap from your JIRA instance itself. This is a read-only access, but it has some interaction with it, and the links to the issues are live, presented as long as I have browse permissions to get to it. I can go and view that in the Jira instance itself. And then these are just filters with setting up the company itself, what all we have in there, and then here is again another Jira filter, the same filter used with a chart macro, but you're also giving information about what they're looking at, which is what really can make then Confluence the reporting tool of choice. Now, the work, the single source of truth for the work is taking place in Jira. That's where your team is working. They're moving issues across their board. They're creating issues there. Um, and it's going to be done really in Jira itself. But for your stakeholders, for your C-suite, for your leadership team, this could be the place for reporting instead of uh, having them go to the Jira instance of it. They have access to it, but why would you do so? Well, what you're seeing here is with the flexibility of the tools itself, to be able to edit, to format, um, really makes this page really customizable, so that you can draw the people to where you want them to see. It makes it interactive. It makes it really more consumable by your audience itself. Um, and since you're not only doing the issues, but talking about it, you are really managing the message of this. And this can, again, make it much more interpreted in light of the value that these reports are into your organization itself, or what we need to be aware of for future planning. It's easy to update. It's constantly up. Every time you make changes on the Jira side, when you come to this page, it's going to have the latest information that's on there. So we find that probably um, this is the tool for reporting. Um, Certainly, you can use a Jira dashboard, and again, probably your project teams will be there. But we really kind of think that for the purpose of uh, of managing the message again, this is where it's going to go probably. Here is that expand macro with the statement of work. If you're having uh, the premium level, if you're going to use the calendar, this can be either a calendar that is in Confluence, or if you have a link to another calendar that you can subscribe to, place it in there. What we do with these with our clients is we will have the client team that's working on the project, and we'll just put maybe some major landmark dates that are on there, letting them know when one of the team members might be out for the day, and then also maybe um, key events for the project itself. Sometimes we will, if we're working in Scrum sprints, we might have the sprint dates show up on this project, or a release date, um, really just for major events on the project itself. Um, I'm quickly looking over my notes just to make sure that I don't have that I haven't missed anything that's on there. So again, and then I want you to take a look at the layout of this as well, because this is how we would typically manage our engagement. So the engagement dashboard on top, and then with additional pages, we might use a template for meeting notes, and I'll talk about templates in just a little bit. But we might then have a contact list of people, uh, our documentation for the project itself based upon whatever agile practices that the company is looking for, or the run book of this configuration of this migration, whatever the project might happen to be as we're working with them. So um, you have the flexibility then to organize your pages in the way that makes uh, useful sense to you and your teams that are in there. Um, Let me show you another type of use. This is an IT team working with a company for an Atlassian product implementation. But there are other teams that also could use a Confluence space as well. Thinking about maybe a marketing group. And this is a sample of what a marketing department might do. And so they might use their overview page as the navigation tools and recently updated. And then as we go into the actual pages themselves, This is another template. Uh, I will tell you that Confluence Cloud has dozens of templates that have been provided by friends of Atlassian, companies that have used Confluence over the years, and they have offered in exchange for a name exchange to create a template that we can use called a blueprint, or you can create your own custom templates as you need to. So you can not only, you don't have to play with a blank page, you could start with pre-formatted content on the page itself and repurpose it. So imagine that, you're introducing your team, what your team, these are just macros of people that are in the instance itself. And so that's what you can have. They have their calendar, and then this is just links to stuff, whether it's attached to the space or it's external information. So managing all that information. And then as I look at the project itself, this is a department that is made up of multiple teams. And so you might have an overall project dashboard of all of your teams using their status buttons of where they are. And then this grabbing information from this is what's called a page properties report. And all these pages have this table, and then this report is just simply displaying that information as well. And then each of the project teams have their own pages. So my first illustration, or my second illustration that I showed you, had the idea of you could have just a project have its own space, but here is a department with multiple projects in their own space, and so they could link to their own projects in Jira from their particular page without having to navigate to a different space. Also, then they're also using things like the meeting notes. Each team has their own setup. They can also link to other resources. You can link to Trello boards. If you haven't used Trello before, it's another Atlassian product. It's a simple board style of moving tasks across a board itself. Really nice features, though. We have several of my colleagues use Trello personally for their own personal tasks as they do so. You can link to a Miro board, although I will tell you, Confluence Cloud is going to have a whiteboard feature available to you. So if you're using something like Miro before, which we love the tool, by the way, but they're going to be offering whiteboarding here so that you can do your planning and designing before you start creating in Jira, seeing how your structure is going to be. Great tool. We're looking forward to seeing that in regular production. It's in beta format right now, but it's coming. So hopefully you're seeing then a couple of ideas then how more than one group might use a space within your context from there. I'll talk about governance in just a little bit, but I want to first talk about my company, XPM Valiantis company. And Kylie will put a link in the chat for you. But we are, as I mentioned, we're the largest platinum solution partner for Atlassian, and we are global. So we're highlighting mostly in North America and in Europe, but we're now we opened an office in Senegal last week. We're in South America. We are in India. We are in several places around the globe, and we're hoping to expand. We offer several services to our clients and to anyone that's interested. First off is training, just like this. We offer a webinar at 11 a.m. Central every Thursday on a variety of topics, and that's how maybe you found us here. And so we're happy to spend an hour talking about various topics related to Atlassian products. So if it's about portfolio management using advanced roadmaps, or if it's a topic around Jira Service Management, or just Jira Work Management, which is Atlassian has done a tremendous push for Jira Work Management, which is the tool that actually comes with your Jira software. But it's designed for teams that aren't necessarily IT, and allowing them to have the same functionality as far as managing their work product with their projects in there. So um, and then what you're seeing here then is uh, a listing of a calendar view of our next training opportunities. Um, as I mentioned, this actually is a 1-day hands-on class, which can be attached to a 3-day hands-on Jira boot camp, which is an intense deep dive into those products, where it's hands-on, where you're seeing it, then you're actually doing it, and actually working with it. We like to work with that in that way. Um, and then we have a new uh, blog, Tech Talks, that are talking about how Atlassian products are moving along and ways to take advantage of those tools. So I encourage you to sort of spend some time looking at our potential offerings from there. So that's training. We also do consulting, meaning that once somebody has potentially looked at an Atlassian product, first off, we can help with the licensing of it. We can help with the implementation, the configuration, the migration from other tools to it. We are currently helping a lot of clients move from their server license to a cloud license, because server is going to be deprecated next year. And so the migrations are moving from there. We also just help with governance and structure. So people have an instance and they would like some assistance just organizing. We have lots of our client engagements are doing those as well. And so we're happy to help if we can and bring some value to your organization and your uses of Atlassian products. And then finally, we have a full stack developer team that if you need a tool that needs to bridge the gap between your third-party tool and your Atlassian tools. Well, we can also help with that if we need to create a custom solution. We have done that. We have things on the marketplace right now, and even a great tool that we're using, an asset management tool that was being used by a couple of our clients, is now being able to be used by others again, asset management connection between Jira Service Management and your products that you have. Where are they and who's using them? It's a great tool to use that as well. So we're happy to help with that. Um, Again, I encourage you to take a look at what's happening there, and also the ability how to reach us is also on there as well. All right, shameless self-promotion is over. Um, Built into to Confluence is uh, integration with Google Docs, and here's a Trello board. Let's see if I can go into the Google Docs. Although I'll tell you now, with the smart linking, um, uh, it's almost applied with cloud and data center. You will connect using some sort of Google connection so that you can show the documents like this. This one I don't have edit rights to, but I have view rights. This one I actually do have edit rights to, and I can make changes from there. So um, just a strong tool, I think, as far as how flexible Confluence can be for you, as far as not only managing the information, but managing the location of the information as well. In our boot camp, we talk about, how do you display information either from Confluence or from somewhere else in multiple locations, so that you're only managing it in a single place, which is kind of leading me to the topic of governance. Governance is an important concept to keep in mind when you are looking at your Confluence space, because what will happen if you don't have a concept of how you're going to use Confluence, then you end up creating a mess that nobody can get to or get through really quickly, and it's hard to manage once it's been done. If you don't have a concept of governance around how you're going to use Confluence, um, we have a phrase that one of our colleagues says, it just simply will amplify the dysfunction. And so you won't have a better tool. Just because you bought the tool, it doesn't mean that it's going to fix itself. Um, in the iron triangle of people, processes, and tools, people are first. Who do you have? Processes, what's the work that they need to get done? And then finally, how do we use that tool to help our people do those processes? And that requires some thinking ahead of time. And there are two basic elements that we talk about with that, and that is uh, standardization and then permissioning. Those are the two basic guidelines, but you want to have that conversation about, well, naming conventions of spaces and pages, incredibly important, because if you don't do that, then what's going to happen is someone's going to be looking for content. They don't see it because of the naming convention wasn't there. And so they'll go and create the page for themselves. And then you have more than one page attempting to share the same information, but it's being managed in both locations. And so one becomes legacy or outdated quickly. Speaking of legacy or outdated, how are you going to manage how long something should stay up in your instance as well? So those are things that you have to think about as you're organizing your instance. Otherwise, again, you're just going to have another location for people to go to that doesn't make much sense within your organization. And this is a key thing that we try to help our clients with, is doing so. We're not necessarily showing them how to use the tools all that much as far as Confluence goes. A few things, of course, but it's mostly helping them think through the organization. And so, to be honest with you, how you're going to use Confluence, you're going to spend less time at the beginning. You won't be in Confluence. You'll be on a whiteboard or on a Miro board, and you're going to talk about how you're going to use the tool. Really, really important from there. Um, so we've looked at a lot of things here, and I know I've spoken quickly and I've gone quickly through a lot of the features, but hopefully what you're seeing is that this is a great tool for documenting your processes, your systems, your people, your organization, and then reporting for not only Jira projects, but for anything else. It can be a great location for your people to go to see things about your company, about your departments, about your teams, about your projects, and then sharing the information from a single location. So your documents may live in wherever document repository you have, whether it's Dropbox or it's a SharePoint folder or a Google Drive folder like we have. Uh, so it's stored and maintained there, but it's surfaced for your people from a centralized location to come to. So it becomes a knowledge sharing portal, like your knowledge base articles for your Jira Service Management projects. So a powerful tool, and I know I went through this quickly, and so what I want to do is see if you have any questions about um, what we've done here, and I'm going to open up the Q&A to see if anybody has inserted one. And while we may be waiting for those, I might talk about a couple of common questions that we get on this. Um, can you make things like how, as far as permissioning goes, can this be both internal and also external? And the answer is yes. Your Confluence administrator can set your instance to be available to the public, which then does not, and basically they have view-only access, which is kind of like what you're looking at here. This is a page that we can share with others. We actually have a curriculum space that when we train our boot camps, attendees can go there and they're public. They don't have to log into the instance to see what's going on. Your and You could have information about your company on a Confluence space that is public and viewable from there. That is managed by the Confluence administrator, by the way, and then the space itself and the admin of the space can be made public for viewing purposes. Um, you can get granular as far as permissioning even at the page level. So perhaps you've got pages here that you want your team members to be able to see, but then there's a couple of pages that you don't want them to see itself. You can, even at the page level, you can set security on it where you are taking whatever is the global default, or you can also set at this is a read-only page, everybody can see it only if you can edit, or you can even limit who can see it at the page level itself. And so that's for me a great tool, because sometimes you have pages that only internal people need to see, or the decision-making team needs to see, etc. Um, while I'm here, I'll just show you a listing of templates that are available. And as I said, there are dozens. Let's see what the latest number is in Confluence Cloud. 131. In Data Center, there's about 12, and they're good. I'm not denigrating Data Center, but what you're going to notice is that Cloud this is where all the Atlassian innovation is the efforts being put into. Atlassian wants us to go to Cloud. Just for those of you that are in Data Center now, just know that there's not, the innovation on the data center side isn't nearly as much as they're moving into Cloud. So several of these templates, great previews of it itself, and many are useful. Some are similar, but you can choose the templates you want. You can then modify the templates if you need to, so that it's branded to your company, or certain elements in the template you don't want, or you want to add elements to it, an additional table, etc., another macro. Feel free to, you can have the ability to completely manage that as well. Let me go back to another space. And another Cloud feature, if I go into a page, is something called presenter mode. And it takes your page and goes into a full screen mode, so that if you are making your presentation to your project team, your management, your PMO, this is where you can walk through the contents of a page, moving down. You have the color, whether or not you want to use the color button or not. You want to use the spotlight, you can navigate up and down. This is a recent tool as well that I saw, is that once you've created the page, you could share a link to this page with a QR code, which is interesting. And while I've got a couple more minutes, let me show you the history part, page history. So I can see every time that the page was published, I have the ability to restore a previously published version or delete it. I can compare to see what was changed with the comparison tool. Other things that I can do with Cloud is, and I think I'll wrap up after this last one, but I really think these are just really nice features that I think are pretty cool, is when you are in edit mode, and I'm going to go into edit mode again, you have the ability to publish without notifications. You can convert a page to a blog post if you're using blogs, which then you could take that blog post and the link can be placed in any number of other locations in your company, your intranet pages, a Teams channel. You might have a feed folder in your email client that could do that. But what I like, one of the things I really like is with Cloud has the ability to schedule the publish. So you're working on the new policy that takes place next Monday, but you don't want it to be published now. You want to schedule the publish maybe sometime Sunday night. You can actually tell it when it becomes the latest version that's on there. And then lastly, if you're editing and you don't want to, you decide you don't want to keep these changes, you can just revert to the last published version. So I've talked a lot, and hopefully I've shown you a few things. Um, I guess what we'll do is I want to just simply say thank you for attending. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that um, this might be the starting of a conversation between your company and XBM Valiantis. Uh, if we can be of assistance to you at all, we love to bring value to our clients, and really that's our main goal. Is what we basically say is that value brings opportunity, and so we'd be happy to help if we can. Again, my name is Tony Hartsfield, and I am a consultant with Axiom Valiantis Company. You just attended the Confluence webinar. I thank you for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day.